Hey everyone, it's MJ, and as always, the pen is mightier than the sword. So they held a crisis meeting today, NATO, EU, and the G7, and basically it's another meeting of, di- you know, discussing their plans for world domination, and they are on the verge of it, and all these people are just working together to initiate the Great Reset in the New World Order. So they're destroying the economy and the world's economy and Russia's economy. And check out what they posted.
Ukraine grows enough food to feed 400 million people on planet Earth. So when the farmers on the battlefields aren't planting or aren't harvesting, what impact do you think that's going to have? 50% of our grain, for example, wheat, comes from Ukraine. And then when you start putting in the global context of Russia and Ukraine together, not even get into the fertilizer costs and the fertilizer excess of base products, you've got a catastrophe knocking and looming on the door for the fall. That will be not a price issue, but a supply issue, availability of food for people around the world, and that will be a catastrophe on top of a catastrophe. This is one of the reasons we need to get the farmers in Ukraine back into the field so they can plant and harvest over the next few months. Otherwise, can the G7 countries and all other nations around the world make up for that supply?
If you are a rich household uh, in advanced economies or even in Africa, you will adjust to rising food price. Now, if you're a poor household in, as you said, the Horn of Africa, you already spent 80-90% of your daily income on food. So you don't really have a margin for adjustment except eating less. What we want is basically to pool risk together, and we do it with trade and trade diversification. So we may not want to rely just on Russia and Ukraine to feed the world. So we need to have not 2 or 3 or 4 big exporters, but 20.
Hey, but don't worry, they'll have 3D printed foods soon. Made from insects and beet leaves and proteins from algae to make tasty products. Yeah, I'm good on that too. This is all about their great reset, and there's gonna be shortages everywhere. And then here's a puppet for you.
Food shortage. Yes, we did talk about food shortages, and it's going to be real. The price of these sanctions is not just imposed upon Russia; it's imposed upon an awful lot of countries as well, including European countries and our country as well.
I mean, they're all puppets, but that guy takes the cake. But anyway, inflation is at a 40-year high for the Great Reset. And they're blaming the pandemic. I mean, even winter storms and trucker convoy strikes and supply chain disruptions. Oh, and also don't forget the war that we just distracted you guys with real quick. Now, don't get me wrong, there is death and destruction. Rest in peace, and my heart goes out to everybody that lost someone through a war. But they are just BSing, okay?
In gas prices recently, but weren't gas prices going up anyway because of post-pandemic supply chain issues?
Well, I think there's no question that as we have seen, and outside analysts have conveyed this as well, the increase and the anticipated continued increase, which is, I think, what some of your colleagues were asking about, that is a direct result of the invasion of Ukraine, and also there was an anticipation of that. That was factored in as gas prices have gone up.
Yeah, they're lobbyists and they're using people as pawns, and soon will be replaced by machines and get universal basic income.
Fewer and fewer jobs that a robot cannot do better.
Okay.
What to do about mass unemployment? This is going to be a massive social challenge. And I think ultimately we will have to have some kind of universal basic income. I don't think we're going to have a choice.
Universal basic income.
Universal basic income, I think it's going to be necessary.
So it means that unemployed people will be paid across the globe
Yeah.
because there is no job. Machine, robot is taking over.
That's simply and I want to be clear that these are not things that I think that I wish would happen. These are simply things that I think probably will happen. And if my assessment is correct and they probably will happen, then we need to say, what are we going to do about it? And I think some kind of a universal basic income is going to be necessary. Now, the output of goods and services will be extremely high. So with automation, there will come abundance. There will be almost everything will get very cheap. I think I think we'll just end up doing a universal basic income. It's going to be necessary. The harder challenge, much harder challenge, is how do people then have meaning? Like a lot of people, they derive.
So yes, they're all pushing this great reset hard. That's what the meeting was about. So stay vigilant. God bless.